بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Since September 2019, the Islamic Education Trust Human Welfare Department has positively touched over 6,500 lives through its intervention program, the food aid program, the financial aid program, Qurbani meat distribution during Eid al-Adha, Widows Empowerment Program, the Orphan Care Program, and the Tree Planting Program. For this good work to continue and be sustained, we need your continuous support. Jazakumullahu khairan as we look forward to your generous donation. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. My name is Muhammad Nuruddin Lemu. I am a Director for Research and Training at the Da'wah Institute of Nigeria, Islamic Education Trust in Minna. I'm also a Director of Lotus Capital Halal Investments. And in this episode, we shall carry on in the series discussing business thinking, the basics of financial literacy, and how to develop an entrepreneurial mindset. In other words, how to think creatively about business solutions. In the last episode, we discussed how people can get paralyzed by problems and challenges, things they are angry with about the community. But we also spoke about how in those problems are filters that people who are not persistent, people who are not confident, people who are not creative will see these problems and give up. Others will persist, try and solve these problems, and very often will come up with some solutions that society really appreciates. Solutions that people are ready to pay money for. Opportunities usually come dressed as hard work, things that drive people away. So when you see people not really interested in things, they need to look carefully. There may be a business opportunity there. One point I'd like to stress on this time is to think strategically, to think long term. Not just what do people need now, but what will people need soon. If we think of ourselves during this COVID-19 period and we look at the problems around, we ask ourselves, what would be the consequences over the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months, 3 months of the kind of challenges we are currently facing? It is said you cannot pick up one end of a stick without the other side moving. All actions have consequences. And whatever is happening today will give birth to things tomorrow. Whatever we are doing today, we will find new solutions, new problems coming up tomorrow. Can you be part of tomorrow's solutions? As we said again, a lot about tomorrow and the future are currently in the form of ideas today. A lot of the inventions, innovations, business solutions that are going to come up are currently just ideas in people's heads. They've not even written them down. Can you be creative in learning what ideas others have? Come up with your own, but do the most important step. Translate it into action and make it a solution that improves the lives of people. The need to think long term, creatively, and think about the needs of others. And inshallah, as you try to meet the needs of others, you find Allah helps you meet your own needs too. I'll share with you the story of a land where people lived on an island, a big island. And the people had a king. But beside this island, very close by, was another island, much smaller, but a beautiful island. However, over 100 years ago, when the grandfather of the current king came to this land with his people, they gathered all the dangerous animals, snakes, lions, everything that was dangerous that lived on this big island, they moved them to the other island. And what did they do? When anybody commits one unforgivable crime, that is the island they take that person to. And you know what happens there. If you can't survive, God help you. Most people have never survived. The king was getting old. Unfortunately, he had no heirs, no children, no sons, no daughters who would succeed him. And the people were a bit worried. So who's going to be the next king? Because they really loved this king. One day, the king called all the heads of the clans and families, and he said to them, I'm getting old, and I may be dying soon from illness. I have a suggestion regarding who will be the next king. Everybody wanted to hear who's going to be the next king. And the king said, anybody who wants to be king should be allowed to be king, but for 5 years. At the end of 5 years, that man should be taken on the first day of the 6th year. That man should be taken to the island where the animals are kept, and let him face his doom and the consequences of that island. That is what I am recommending. People looked at each other. They have always known this king to be a wise king, but they have never heard an idea so outrageous. However, they trusted his wisdom. They trusted that he really cared for them. So they said, Your Majesty, whatever you say, we believe is in our best interest. No problem. We will have 5 years for the term of the next king. And on the first day of the 6th year, that person, whether he was a good king or a bad king, will be taken to the island and left there for the animals to do what they want with him. He said, thank you. After a while, the king died. So, the next in leadership, the viziers and ministers, got the people together and said, who wants to be king? Many people were hesitating. 5 years and then you die? Kai. One guy said, me, I want to be king. You want to be king? Yes. You know the consequences. That you will be king for 5 years only. He said, yes. After that, we will take you and drop you at the island. Yeah. We'll take you at night to and drop you there. No problem. Why? He said, Malam, I've not enjoyed life, so let me enjoy for 5 years better than what I'm enjoying now. No problem. They made him king. As soon as they made him king, he started partying every day. New party, new clothes, new food, new wife, new everything. Expand the island, expand the palace. He wants to sleep in a new bed. He wants new this, new that. That's how we finish year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. On the first day of the 6th year, at night, the guards came. He was screaming and shouting, please, whatever. Sorry, you know, the law's the law. And strange it may seem, you agreed to it. So sorry, we have to take you to the island. They put him on the boat. He was crying and screaming. They carried him onto the island, dropped him there. He was wailing and shouting and screaming, and then they heard roar. They heard a roar, another roar, and then they heard the guy scream again, and then there was silence. That was the end of king number 1. The next day, the people went and asked their people, okay, we are just following the legacy of how to choose our king as our former king that we loved recommended. And we all agreed we are going to do that way. So who wants to be king? One guy said, me. You want to be king? Yeah. We have not known you to care about people. He said, okay, I want to be king. They made him king. He partied more than the first one. He made sure that whatever food he eats for breakfast today, for the next 5 years, he should not eat that kind of food again. Whatever clothes he wore today, he should not wear tomorrow. He wants to see new design of clothes, of curtains, of carpet. Every time he comes into the palace, he wants something new. That's how he just wasted his time. That's how he did year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. On the first day of the 6th year, he came to the palace. Talk, Oga, time for you to go to the island. He started to complain. Sorry, the law's the law. That's how they took him, shouting, screaming in the boat at night, carried him to the island. Like the first one, there was roar, there was hisses, sounds of animals. He screamed, they heard silence. That was the end of him. The next day, they came and said, okay, time for another king. This time, one young teacher who was loved by the students, loved by his community, said he wanted to be king. People said, what is wrong with you? He said, I want to be king. You want to be king? To Allah, we can increase your salary as a teacher. We can improve your condition. To Allah, don't go and waste your time. You become a king, die after 5 years. What happens to your students and others? He said, I want to be king. Anybody else? Nobody else. They said, okay, they will make him king. They made him king. As soon as he was confirmed and conferred the crown and he was king, what did he do in his first year? He got all the hunters together to go to that island, round up all the wild animals and make a very big zoo for them. By the second year, the place was safe. He had moved farmers to go and develop beautiful farms and plantations, factories, resorts, nice housing estates. People were envying that island more than even the mainland. By year 3, he had put a good market and supermarket, schools, institutes, hospitals, things that the first island didn't have. He went and put there. By year 4, he even built some extra houses and built one for himself. By year 5, he had improved the roads and everything on that island. Nice parks where you can go and see the animals and all of that, safe. He built a bridge connecting the new island, the small island, to the big mainland, the big island. On the first day of the 6th year, the security came. They were a bit confused. They said, sir, it's time for us to take you to the island. He said, no problem, let us go. They put him on his boat. He was just singing as he was going. Some of them even were singing with him. Everybody knew, man, this guy had thought strategically. And he was not just concerned about himself. No, he improved society for all. And when they got to the other island, he invited them to come and have tea at his place. He had already ordered for dinner to be made. Every one of us is in this world for a minimum period of time. As Muslims, we should always remember that al-akhirah khairul laka min al-ula. The hereafter is better than this world. Just like the 5-year term king, he wasn't just thinking of himself. He was thinking also of his community. And he was thinking long term. How was he going to help? And in helping others, he had helped himself. So as we think of business opportunities, let us always have at the back of our minds, we want to help the community as a whole, not just ourselves. And in the way we do long-term thinking for Akhirah, long-term strategic thinking for our societies, you find that through that, you are able to solve the short-term problems of yourself, your family, and your life. We'll take a break, inshallah, and when we return, we shall carry on other forms of thinking besides strategic thinking, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.